Another Monday, another episode of album review. This week I'm going to be covering the self-titled debut record from a supergroup called Bad English. When you're done watching this video, you can go back and check out all my past album review videos in the playlist. It's down in the description box below. And now, on with the video. Bad English was an American-British hard rock supergroup formed in 1987. It reunited Journey keyboardist Jonathan Cates with baby singer John Waite and bassist Ricky Phillips, along with Journey guitarist Neil Schon and an unknown drummer by the name of Dean Castronovo. The band is best known for their hit single When I See You Smile, which peaked at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in November of 1989. In order to understand Bad English, it goes all the way back to John Waite's time as a member of the Babies, where he sang lead vocals and played bass guitar. The Babies was formed in 1975 by keyboardist / guitarist Michael Corby. They were alongside joined by Tony Brock and Wally Stocker, drummer and guitarist respectively, alongside singer and bassist John Waite. From late 1978 until the breakup in 81, the Babies lineup consisted of singer John Waite, drummer Tony Brock, bassist Ricky Phillips, guitarist Wally Stocker, and keyboardist Jonathan Cain. Following the breakup of the Babies, Jonathan Cain replaced Greg Rowley as keyboardist of the band Journey. And Jonathan Cain had contributed to Journey's success to the top of the charts as one of his first collaborations on the album Escape, composing and playing the piano on songs such as Don't Stop Believin' and Open Arms, and also Who's Crying Now. Perhaps his notable contribution was the sole author of the Journey ballad Faithfully from 1983's Frontiers. The song about life on the road while in a band. Cain would go on to appear on at least 13 other Journey albums and compilations. After the Babies split in 1981, John Waite had struggled as a solo artist, starting with his debut album Ignition, which produced the hit Change, which was an AOR hit single on the album Rock Tracks. And in 1984, when he released his second record, No Breaks, it became a top 10 album due to the number 1 hit single, Missing You. We then fast forward to 1986 and the release of Journey's 9th record, Raised on Radio. 2 years prior to this, guitarist Neil Schon, who was an original member of Journey, and singer Steve Perry, who joined Journey in 1977, had released solo albums of their own. Neil was in a band called HSAS, which stands for Hagar, Sean, Arison, and Shreve, releasing the album Through the Fire, while Steve Perry released his debut solo album Street Talk, which features the hit singles such as Oh Sherry and Foolish Heart. Perry considered leaving Journey following the release of Street Talk, which was referred to as one of his most fun experiences, but he decided to return to Journey when he received a call from Jonathan Cain, who wanted him to work on some unfinished material. Following Steve's return to Journey, he began to take more control over the band's direction, which led to the termination of both bassist Ross Valerie and drummer Steve Smith, against the wishes of manager Herbie Herbert. According to Steve himself, Steve Perry, Valerie and Smith weren't too pleased with the kind of music they were playing and weren't too keen on touring. Steve Smith said in a later initial recording process there was a lot of pressure to do it the way Steve Perry wanted, which he had a lot of problems with because he felt it should be a group record, like all the other records. Randy Jackson of American Idol fame replaced Ross Valerie on bass, while Larry London replaced Steve Smith on drums during the sessions. They settled on drummer Mike Baird for the subsequent Raised on Radio tour. The band decided that Perry, who had proven his production capabilities on Street Talk, was best fit to produce the record. According to Steve Perry himself, This gave the rest of the band members as much creative control as possible. Journey knows what it should sound like, so they all agreed. He would be good, safe, non-dictator type producer. Perry changed the original title for the initial album name called Freedom to Raised on Radio, which drew the ire of Herbert and some of the band members, and it's varied from one-word general theme from most of their previous records. And following the subsequent Raised on Radio tour, Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain had just had enough of Steve Perry, and they decided to end the group right there. So after the bad falling out with singer Steve Perry, Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain decided to end Journey right then and there. So they turned to singer John Waite and bassist Ricky Phillips, who had done some sessions work following the end of the Babies in '81. And they decided one night to put a band together. The name in the band Bad English came from while they were playing pool, which John Waite missed a shot, and Jonathan Cain made a comment about how bad his English was, referring to the spin a player puts on a cue ball. And that's when the band decided to use the phrase Bad English. With Jonathan Cain and Neil Schon already successful in the band Journey, they formed Bad English with John Waite and joined by Ricky Phillips, who had played bass on the Babies on 2 albums with Waite and Cain, along with an unknown drummer by the name of Dean Castronovo, who was nobody ever heard of at the time, except for the fact he played drums on a Pacific Northwest band called Wild Dogs. I now go to the track listing on Bad English's debut record, starting with The Best of What I Got, written by John Waite, Jonathan Cain, and Neil Schon, clocking in at 440. Heaven is a 4-letter word, clocking in at 445. The song was written by Neil, Jonathan, John Waite, and Mark Sparrow, clocking in at 445. Possession, written by John Waite, Jonathan Cain, and Ricky Phillips, clocking in at 508. Forget Me Not, written by John Waite, Jonathan Cain, and Mark Sparrow, clocking in at 458. When I See You Smile, written by Diane Warren, clocking in at 417. Tough Times Don't Last, written by Jonathan Cain, David Roberts, and John Waite, clocking in at 442. Ghost in Your Heart, written by John Waite, Jonathan Cain, and Martin Page, clocking in at 446. Price of Love, written by John Waite and Jonathan Cain, clocking in at 447. Ready When You Are, written by Jonathan Cain, John Waite, Neil Schon, and Todd Cerny, clocking in at 420. Lay Down, written by Waite, Schon, and Cain, clocking in at 438. The Restless Ones, written by Waite, Cain, and Phillips, clocking in at 523. Rockin' Horse, written by Schon, Waite, and Cain, clocking in at 531. And Don't Walk Away, written by Andy Hill and Peter Sinfield, clocking in at 430. The first Bad English album, if I had to guess, was written and recorded throughout 1988 into the early portions of 89. The album was produced by Richie Zito, and it was released on June 26, 1989. The album was a massive success, especially because of the #1 hit single, When I See You Smile. That single was certified gold, while the album was certified platinum. Aside from that song, the album had 2 other top 40 hits, like The Price of Love and Possession, which peaked at number 5 and number 21, respectively. The album received generally positive reviews, and since this recording, the album went platinum in the United States and went up to number 21 on the Billboard 200 charts. My overall rating for Bad English's self-titled release is 85 out of 100. It took me a lot of years after its release, 30 to be exact, to listen to such songs as Ghost in Your Heart and Don't Walk Away, and Heaven is a 4-letter word. But the 2 songs that really stood out was When I See You Smile and Price of Love. They had released their second album, Backlash, and went without any fanfare. The only single was Straight to Your Heart, which missed the top 40, peaking at number 42. Ricky Phillips stated he parted ways with the company after the second album was mixed. Phillips and Neil Schon expressed frustration with the pop side of the band's songs, wanting a harder edge. In the end, it proved to be the band's undoing, as everyone left to pursue other projects. That concludes this week's episode of JoeLumb's Album Review. No.